a brief background on Boulder basics. The city of Boulder is located in Colorado in the midwestern part of the city, of the country, or the western part of the U.S. And Boulder is located about 45 minutes just northwest of Denver. It is situated right under the foothills of the Flatirons. It's about 6,000 feet above sea level. This image you're seeing in the background, the National Center for Atmospheric Research and the city of Boulder is situated right underneath that. The city itself is about 25 miles from downtown. It's got about 50,000 daily commuters and about 100,000 residents. It has a significant amount of urbanized areas, but about 4 times as much open space. The city is a university city. About 25,000 students go to the University of Colorado. It also has a significant amount of federal laboratories situated in the city, which has a significant impact on science, technology, and jobs within the area. I won't go into that too much. What is distinct about Boulder is it has had a long history of thoughtful planning. It is a city that in 1957 decided to grow compactly. As you can see on this map, what you see in the green is actually the city of Boulder area, and then in the center and the core is the actual the urbanized area. The city restricts any kind of development outside of that boundary as part of its growth management plan that was instituted in 1957. So the civic area planning is situated within that context of a long history of planning. As you can see, the site area is located right in the heart of the city. On the right side, you have the downtown center, and Canyon Boulevard, which is the kind of the main spine down to the city, is also the main spine to the civic area, which is located just directly to the west. This diagram shows Canyon as the major thoroughfare, and one of the most important features for the civic area is the Boulder Creek, which comes trickling down from the mountains and goes right through the site. The planning area is slightly larger than the competition focus area. What you see on this map is a much larger planning area, and then at the core of that, which is the more salmon color from 14th Street to 9th Street, from Canyon to Arapahoe, is the focus area. That is where pretty much 98% of the site is city-owned between parks and buildings. It is within this area that where the planning is focused about its link to downtown, its relationship to Boulder Creek, as well as its relationship to the University Hill, which is further south on the down right, and then the neighborhoods to the east, and then the core of the downtown, what is the Pearl Street Mall, just directly north. And the study area generally is south of Canyon Boulevard. The civic area planning is, the process is about establishing a comprehensive vision for the site, and it's also a decision-making tool for the future of the city facilities, which are located in the high hazard flood zone, which we'll talk about briefly later on. And then it's also to determine, with some developable land, both for open space, for buildings and parcels, what are the best uses for the city to focus on, and then establish a new urban design vision for that whole area, and specifically for the public realm and some extent to the private development. One of the significant features and the most important feature within the area is that it is located in the flood zones of the 100-year, 500-year, and what is also called within that the high hazard zone. Colorado is generally a very high flood-prone area, and Boulder is the #1 flood-prone area within Colorado. Within the civic area, there are a significant amount of city facilities, including the city hall or the municipal building, as well as library, the Boulder Public Library, or main library, and then some significant kind of historic features and uses, such as the tea house, the Duchambe Tea House, and the Boulder Museum of Contemporary Arts. A lot of this information is provided on the website in the competition brief. But what I want to go through now is quickly give you the timeline and what this planning study entails. What you see in red is we're about halfway in the planning process for the civic area, which started in April of 2012 as part of both kind of kickoff as well as a significant amount of public process. And we are at about doing an ideas competition, which is one of the many components of trying to establish plan options for the site. It is overall about an 18-month process, which will culminate into an approved plan sometime in August 2013. To date, we've had significant amount of public inputs, both online as well as traditional workshops and design charrettes, and we've gathered significant amount of inputs in terms of what type of ideas should be explored for the civic area, from programmatic ideas for new uses to enhancement of existing uses within the civic area. Many of the ideas range from significant amount of program on the site to some who think absolutely no development, primarily because of the flood-prone nature of the site. What we're doing through this process is sorting through all those ideas and using the ideas competition as one step in many to gather and collect more ideas what should take place in the area. A lot of the input from the public was translated into 7 guiding principles, which will be the, lack of a better word, the guiding principles for this ideas competition as well. It touches on what the area is as a civic heart of the city, significant focus on how we address issues related to life and safety as it relates to the flood, about how we build upon the open space and the park nature of the area, and then building on the history of the area, but some of the historical resources. The other principles include enhancing access and connections, public, especially pedestrian, bike, and less dependent on auto use. But we also have significant auto use in the area, and that's one of the things that we want to address. Some ideas about new activities, especially in the arts and other community-related activities on the site. And then one of the important aspects of it is a viable and sustainable future, not only from an environmental perspective, but also from an economic perspective. So if we zoom down to the actual competition area, I mentioned it is bounded by 14th Street to the east, 9th to the west, Canyon Boulevard to the north, and Arapahoe Avenue to the south. Within that competition focus area, some of the highlights and the significant features include most, if not all, of these buildings, except the one on the southeast corner, are all civic or city facility buildings. There are about 270,000 square foot of those kinds of uses with within the area. What you see in reddish color, the three structures, the municipal building, the the Boulder Museum of Contemporary Art, and the band shell up here, those are all landmarked buildings. The Dushanbe Tea House is in the process of being landmarked. And then up north here, what you see in pink is what's called the Atrium Building, which has some historic significance, but it's not landmarked. There's also a significant amount of natural features, primarily the Boulder Creek, a significant amount of trees in the area, and also wetland protected areas, which are shown by the dashed lines. The other major feature within this area we'll talk about more is the salmon and blue colors, which exemplify what the 100-year flood is within the area. The 100-year flood there's 1% chance in any given year that we will get a major flood, a 100-year flood. And then within that, we have what is known as the high hazard area. This area is the area where you have, if there's flood, where you have significant amount of speed and depth to a point where it becomes significant threat to life safety. The city has regulations that no new buildings or constructions could be constructed within that area, which will be also the guiding principle for this process, or any buildings within that area could not get any renovation more than half the price of the cost of the value of the building. Why that is important is what you see circled in red. These are two city facility buildings, a total of about 35,000 square feet, which are today in the high hazard area. If they were to be damaged or need major renovation, under the city's regulation, we will not be able to do that. So one of the ideas that we're looking at is options to phase the programs within those buildings, whether it's within this area, the civic area, or elsewhere. The reason the flood issue is significant is more, it's not about flood that may stay here for weeks on end like most other places, but it is flash flood and the speed at which it could come, and lack of time for warning. The city has a warning system and evacuation system, but it's usually it's unpredictable how fast the flood would come. There's significant cost to maintenance if you're building within the area, and we have to be cognizant of that. And one of the ideas we want to explore through the ideas competition and other processes, could a new design and especially the outdoor space actually help enhance the evacuation function of the area with signage and site grading and other ideas. The aerial photo shows where the focus area is. Again, a significant amount of built and unbuilt structures there. Approximately about 600 surface parking spaces are located there. I mentioned earlier 270,000 square foot of buildings. From a planning perspective, what's important to note is more than half of the area is what we're calling hard surface. It's either built structures or surface parking, and about 12 acres, less than half of it, has some green space. So those are the ideas to explore through this process, is what are the potential new ideas to expand the park and the park function of the area. We've done a quick kind of analysis within the area where not only open space, but potential buildable areas within the 100-year flood zone, what is in blue. And here in this map, they're outlined in red. Each of those areas have certain potential for buildings or some program, or for elimination of surface parking within the high hazard area to transform that space into open space. Just with a simple exercise, we can see almost 600,000 square foot at 4 stories, but that doesn't mean that we can build that much square footage. It all depends on the type of programs that will be constructed there, or the types of open space that may be increased within the area. But the point here is within the blue or the 100-year flood zone, it is possible with strict flood regulations that new construction could take place, just as well as new expanded open space and outdoor facilities could be created by consolidating, or in some cases, removing structures and surface parking from the high hazard areas. Surface parking is one of the dangerous elements within a high hazard or within a flood zone, because a lot of cars could actually become could be washed away and become dangerous as projectiles in a flood. So the IDS competition that is launched on December 10 is it's an open competition for locally, nationally, and internationally. We're looking at not single idea to come out of that or a single winning idea, but multiple categories as defined in your design brief. We're scheduling a public exhibit and comments period between January 20th and 29th. Soon after we receive the entries, which the deadline is due on January 14th. There will be a jury selection and awards ceremony on January 29th at the Boulder Public Library. Again, you can get a lot of this information on bouldercivicarea.com. I just want to go through just to talk about what the competition is about and what it's not. It is, as I mentioned earlier, one of many steps to developing plan options that will be analyzed and a final plan approved at the end of next year. We're looking for a very high-level ideas, not detailed solutions, and we're pretty much looking at charrette-type ideas. Again, not detailed engineering or other ideas. At the end of the competition, we're not expecting that the ideas that are generated would become the final plan, but one in many steps that will inform a future plan. We're not anticipating any major build projects to come out of this specifically for the long-term vision, but if viable, there may be an option to implement some near-term projects